Minister, could I just start with, I think, something that many people would be concerned with legitimately, which is really this, that you were in this department for 6 months, and many people will say that's too short to study a complex organization like SAPS and to take such radical decisions. How do you defend yourself against that accusation?
Well, firstly, it is to say that I wasn't minister for the first time. I wasn't minister in a big department. For the first time, I was from water, and I dealt with quite a number of complex issues there, including merging water boards and other matters, huge amounts of money, resuscitating the Lesotho Highlands Water Project, which was quite a complex project. So, although I was 6 months, or 5 months to be precise, I quickly acclimatized myself and familiarized myself, and as testimony to that, we took all the period, as I indicated in my statement, from the time we got appointed up to the end of the year, just orientation, although we then included discussions and decisions in the process. But it was quite an intensive kind of orientation.
Yes. And your statement says that you were particularly concerned about the rate of murders in South Africa. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And how did you think South Africa should fight against murder in particular?
What I thought at the end, or in the course of time, we should do, in the main, we should work on specialized units, not only because they had been conceptualized before I came and so on, but in my own assessment, I felt that you need specialized units who would then be able to focus on specialized fields, especially in the detection or in the detectives area. And when you do so, in other words, it amounted to saying the work that had been done up to then needs to be intensified, it needs to be strengthened. And when you do so, make sure that you build from home. In other words, you build this capacity in each province, especially in the light of priority number 3, which is building capacity of the state. It wouldn't mean going back to the days of Brixton, which was concentration of talent and every other thing, resources, only in Johannesburg. So when there's murder elsewhere, you then take people, they fly, they drive, and so on. Build it from home. Build it in each and every province. The concept that we have been discussing, that is in our statement, is key in doing this in South Africa. Of course, you will then say visible policing, ensuring prevention, and then investigation. Both are mandates of SAPS, core mandates of SAPS. You would be effective when you do it through specialized units. That, of course, you will build over time with focus and not break and build and break and break and then rely on task teams and all of that. Build these units. And to me, that's what I stand for. That is what I got convinced, and I stand by that even now, including then this new division that we spoke about, which will then enhance the combative capacity of SAPS.
Yes. Now, this vision of building specialized permanent units instead of temporary task team, was that just your own view, or was this shared within the SAPS?
I found it in SAPS, having been shared, having been workshopped, having been implemented at different levels, both at national and provincial level, and there are documents to that effect. We've been discussing them. But when I saw the extent of murders and got worried about them, first I said, when we release stats in South Africa, I will say even though there may be a decrease, but I would insist that it is at a high level, because it was a high level. If you have 27,000 people getting murdered in South Africa every year, and the other year there are 26,000, that's still high, even if it's decreased, but it's high. It's decreasing at a high level, and therefore that's the
It's
first thing.
decreasing at a low level. It can't be decreasing at a high level.
It is decreasing still at a high level,
All right.
and I could see that.
Yes, I mean, it's not decreasing fast enough.
Yes.
But can you just move on? You've also said this idea was also embedded within this SAPS. Is it correct that that view would be found, this idea of moving towards permanent specialized unit instead of ad hoc task teams, would be found in the following documents: the 2019 work study, dated the 26th of June 2019, the implementation letter, dated 14 November 2019, the Murray report, dated 6 March 2014, and the organizational structure of the SAPS of 2025 to 2029. Those 4 documents embed this idea of moving towards specialized units instead of temporary ad hoc task teams. Is that correct?
Except that the Murray report is 2024, not 2014.
No, 2024, 6 March
Yes.
2024.
Yes.
Did I say 2014?
Yes.
I apologize.
It's quite embedded
Yes.
in all those documents and in conversations. And I did say I had a conversation by chance with former Commissioner Stolle.
Yes.
And according to him, he was emphatic on specialized units and including cold case units. And he said, PKTT does cold cases in any case, by and large.
Yes.
That was the conversation that we have. So it is embedded in documents, in workshops, in resolutions, in implementation efforts.
Yes. It's also shared by top management.
It's shared by top management, and we embraced it even when we reviewed the structure after we came, the structure that will be up to 2029.
Now let's introduce another concept. Can it coexist with a task team?
It basically, if all these specialized units are as effective as they should be, and there's no reason why we should not be able to do so if we are seriously implementing. The lack of implementation here and there is just lapses, human lapses in the department, not because there's something impossible. Now, having said so, I want to say that we believe in them, and in terms of coexisting, it's only when there is an overwhelming kind of development somewhere that the existing capacity there where this thing happens, that you would need a task team so that you reinforce in one way or the other what is there beyond the capacity of specialized teams and so on. But ordinarily, once you've put an effort 2 years or so, you will be running with full capacity.
Thank you. Now, the other criticism is this. I'm not saying the commissioners are critical, don't misunderstand me, but I'm saying the criticism that has arisen from various quarters is the following. You did not give enough time for your idea, which is a good idea, to percolate within the organization, and you did not speak to enough people so that they can understand and adjust themselves. So even if you've got a good idea, which is I want a permanent structure, which is a specialized unit, and I want to dissolve a temporary structure. The way to do that also matters. You have to follow a certain process, give people time, give people notice. Can you just explain how you react to that criticism?
I would
They say that you announced it on the 31st, you expected it to be implemented there and then.
the letter of directives.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, I would say first, that letter, in terms of its spirit, it embraces whatever would be dictated to by reasonable time required for the implementation of the letter. In line with the administrative meaning of immediately. And even in terms of the letter, the drafting itself, it included a preliminary report at some other date, and then a UNESCO at some other date. That was indicative enough from where I sit that it would be a matter that I would be open to engagement and in terms of reasonability of time required as we engage in implementing the directive.
All right, I'll come back to that issue of being open to change. But just prior to the letter being issued on the 31st, your statement says there were 3 meetings. Meeting on the 1st of November, meeting on the 21st of November, meeting on the 22nd of November. As I understand, none of those meetings resolved on a dissolution per se.
No, none of them, or yes, none of them resolved or discussed dissolution and agreed on it. But what they did, they discussed tilting towards that in terms of review. I made a statement there, and the National Commissioner made a statement indicating the temporal nature of PKTT in no ambiguous terms. He was clear, and we were clear, and we were synergizing there.
Yes, thank you. Now, we'll come back then to the statement you made about being open to persuasion. When I study your letter of the 31st of December, I don't get there the language that even though I'm giving this directive, I'm still open to altering my mind. How do you explain that?
I explain that by saying that practical experience indicates that whenever an executive authority gives a directive in a meeting or in any other situation, there would be a response from officials. They would always express themselves in terms of feasibility, including time framing. They will always indicate what they would want to see as feasible. And they would, you would comply because you know you are not the one who is implementing. So while there was nothing expressed in the letter to that effect of openness, but practice does point to that being the culture in government to do so. But then there were also those indications of meetings that I've alluded to, that they showed that there we would be engaging as it would be.
All right. So your point is that although you issued that letter in apparently peremptory terms, you were always open to persuasion if good reason was put forward.
Definitely.
Yes. Now,
Correct.
let's move on then. From the 31st of December 2024, what happened next in January 2025, which is...
Well, there are a number of things that happened. I would start from the
3rd of January.
of January.
What happened then?
The National Commissioner did instruct Litoko, Brigadier or Colonel Litoko, to write letters to Deputy National Commissioners to make them aware of the letter, the letter of the directive, and to inform them, which I took as operationalizing, as it were, the directive. And it later did become clear that that instruction was to say the Office of the National Commissioner must begin the process of operationalizing the directives. That's the third. Parallel
So
to
if
that,
he didn't want to, let us assume the National Commissioner's view was, this is outside of your power as the minister, you did not consult, the task team is a good thing. What should he have done?
firstly, I would say that there is a guide called a guide to all DGs, including the National Commissioner, in terms of what to do when you receive an unlawful instruction. There is that guide, it exists, they are all familiar with. So he could have used that and made reference to that. But in practice, using that or even outside that, just from him as a person, he clearly would have responded to the very directive that I wrote to say, I received your directive of 31st December. I am responding. I feel this way and that way and that way. That didn't happen. Instead, as I put it, the third was operationalizing the directive.
Thank you. And then after the third?
On the third as well,
Yes.
apart from what was happening in the Office of the National Commissioner and his Deputy National Commissioners, I was in touch with Chief of Staff, my Chief of Staff.
Who is the Chief of Staff?
Chief of Staff is Cedric Kabinde.
Thank you.
Now, he informed me on the third, he informed me on the fourth and on the fifth that, firstly, on the third, that he was interacting. He was in a conversation with General Mkhwanazi, the PC, that is Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal. And he made me aware in the course of time, because he phoned me more than once to say, I'm receiving calls from the Provincial Commissioner. And he said, Utuktel, he's angry with the letter.
Who's angry now?
He's a Provincial Commissioner, Mkhwanazi. He said he's angry, picking it up from their conversation. And I said, why is he angry? He says about PKTT disbandment, as per your letter. Your letter apparently leaked, and he picked it up and he phoned me, and we had a conversation more than once. But he was emphasizing the anger to him and saying, I think in one of the calls, I said to him, but why is he angry? Because I wrote the letter to the National Commissioner, not to the Provincial Commissioner. And he said, well, it doesn't pick it up or understand. To a point where, because of his emphasis on the anger of the Provincial Commissioner, I ended up saying, look, those statements coming out as they do, if it's true, you must consider recording the Provincial Commissioner for posterity. And he later informed me that, he has taken a decision that should another call come, he would record that, which he started doing, I think, on the 4th or on the 5th. Now, one of the things that he told me to illustrate the anger, he said, the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, as they were talking, said to him, if Minister doesn't withdraw this letter, there's going to be a fight back. Now, we did discuss what possibly could that mean. Well, he said, that illustrates the anger. That's how we concluded, that he was so angry that he made that. And then later on, I think the 4th or the 5th, he also informed me that PC said, if the minister doesn't, because all the time he was phoning a certain Kabinde to say, have you spoken to the minister? Have you spoken to the minister? Have you met him? And he said, he also said, if the minister is clean, then he should proceed with the letter dating back from his days as premier, because we're going to investigate him if he doesn't withdraw this letter. That is, those are things that came from a certain Kabinde.
Are you clean?
I'm clean.
Now, in January, we are now on the 5th of January. Anything else that happened in January 2025?
In January 2025, there are two things that happened.
Yes.
I think around the 20th, I met the National Commissioner and we had a chat verbally. We spoke a little about the leak of the letter of directives. And he said, hey, he's concerned about the leak and what then is in social media about it, our affairs leaking in the manner that it did. I shared the concern. And he said, well, look, in future, he believes that we must avoid letters of this nature, and I agreed with him. But it was based on the leak, not on the content and substance of the letter.
Yes. You said there were two things. We were talking now about the 20th of January.
Yes, the second was that I wouldn't be receiving the preliminary report. It was around that 20th, but the report is almost ready and all of that. He made a firm undertaking that in just a few days, which then happened, and the report was, in fact, he wanted to bring it on the 20th. And we were in Cape Town, and he was informed accordingly, and then he brought it on the 22nd.
Yes. But on both of those occasions, 20th of January, 22nd of January, he is still in total agreement with the decision.
Especially on the 22nd, because there it was not a letter, it was not a letter, it was a report, a preliminary report with a number of things, background of PKTT, objective, progress, achievements. There were quite a number, and indicating that there would need to be meetings with relevant stakeholders. It was quite an elaborate report.
All right, but he is still in agreement?
It was in agreement. There was nowhere where it was objecting in partially or in full. It was in agreement.
You told the chairperson of this commission that you spoke to the president on the 23rd of January 2025.
Yes, correct.
Yes, to brief him about the dissolution.
Correct.
And he too did not countermand you, and he is your boss. He could have said, I want it back.
The date was either the 13th or the 23rd, and it's correct that I briefed the president, and it was not a presentation in a document. It was just a briefing that there's since been this development, and I would have loved that I would and should have briefed him before I took the resolution. But I just, in passing, indicated that, well, the task team was, although it was his initiative, but it was pitched at ministerial level, not a presidential task team, as it were. But I was saying that just in passing I was mitigating the fact that I had already done this, even though I had wanted to do it beforehand.
Yes, but the point is that you were transparent to him. If he wanted the task team, he could have told you, no, I don't agree with your decision.
Correct.
Especially because the task team came about in the first place upon his initiative.
Correct.
Yes. Now then, we move from the 23rd of January. You briefed Parliament on the 5th of March, together with the SAPS leadership.
Correct.
Yes. And even in that meeting in Parliament, all of the leaders of the SAPS agreed with your decision. Is that correct?
It is correct. The presentation was actually practically led by them. They made the presentation.
Yes. And no one among the members of Parliament objected to the dissolution.
In fact, if anything, they agreed with it.
Yes. And then there was subsequently a meeting after the 5th of March, which was on the 6th of March when you returned from Parliament.
Yes, correct.
Yes. Between who and who?
That meeting was in Cape Town, in the provincial headquarters of SAPS. On my side, it was myself, deputy ministers and staff. And then on the side of the National Commissioner, it was him and Deputy Minister and Deputy National Commissioners. I remember that there was Deputy National Commissioner Musikiti, Deputy National Commissioner Sbia, Acting Deputy National Commissioner Ngcukaitobi. There could be one or two. Oh, there was Lieutenant Khumalo, Lieutenant General Khumalo, and Lieutenant General Sentumula.
Yes. And even in that meeting, no one in the SAPS objected.
No one objected.
Yes. And there was a report on the 27th of March, 2025.
Correct.
And that was a progress report by General Masemula.
Correct.
Yes. And even that report was still consistent with the dissolution.
It was still consistent with the dissolution. A little hitch there was that whereas on the 6th of March we had agreed that no additional cases would be added on PKTT, there was now an additional case. We then said, well, that matter we have to discuss with the National Commissioner, and there was no cancellation of the decision that had been taken on the 6th. There was no reversal. It was merely to note what had happened, and they continued.
Yes. But throughout this period, we've referred now to 7 meetings, including a meeting with the President and the President with Parliament, a meeting with Parliament. It was always open for anyone who didn't like what you had done to say you must change course, and you would have changed course.
I definitely would have changed course.
Yes. Now, when is the first time then that there's an explicit public denunciation of the decision?
From the National Commissioner?
From anyone?
Well, as I indicated, firstly, that it was firstly from General
That's
Mkonazi.
not explicit because they are
Yes.
having a conversation and you're being told by your Chief of Staff.
Not directly, yes. The first one is the 6th of July, where I got it very clear that there is a view contrary to.
What happened on the 6th of July?
We saw a press briefing by Provincial Commissioner General Mkonazi making statements around the dissolution and other related aspects.
Yes. Now, the statement that he made, General Mkonazi, in that meeting, I've looked at it. Well, Ms. Lengane looked at it and told me what it says. But it says that you and Mr. Mokgotsi are receiving financial assistance from Mr. Madlanga, who is an alleged criminal. Makes that explicit statement.
Correct.
Is that true or false?
It's false.
Yes.
It's false. There is no money that I have ever received from Brown Mokgotsi, or he has received together
it's from
with
Madlanga, not from Mokgotsi.
Or from Madlanga.
Yes. What General Mkonazi said is that you and Mr. Mokgotsi are receiving money from Mr. Madlanga, who is an alleged criminal.
Oh, it's false.
Yes.
It's false.
Yes.
I'm not part of that. If Mr. Mokgotsi has ever received any money from Mr. Madlanga, that would mean that it was him and him alone receiving whatever he would have received. Myself, I've never asked for any money from Mr. Madlanga. I've never met him. I've never spoken to him on the phone. I've never asked for anything from him. I've never received anything from him.
Yes. And what he then sought to do, General Mkonazi, he sought to locate the dissolution of the PKTT in this context of a minister receiving money from a criminal, or an alleged criminal.
I believe that, yes, I'm aware of that.
Yes.
It's a narrative which I would say was choreographed somewhere, but it never found its way to reality. And there's no evidence that that is the case. Because I say, even if somehow they located to the incidents of the 6th where there was a raid in Madlanga's home and all of that, I knew nothing about the raid, the intended raid I never got any briefing that there was going to be a raid in Madlanga's home and offices and so on. I never received any presentation or report after such a raid. And therefore, to link these two things and the dissolution and me and a person that I'd never met and the happenings in his home or whatever was totally false.
Now, not only did he say that in that press conference, even before this commission, at paragraph 187 of his statement, this is what General Mchunu says. He says, Minister Mchunu, through his associate with Brown Mokhotsi and as corroborated by his Chief of Staff, Mr. Nkabinde, maintained associations that have confirmed links with the underworld. So he says, you have links with the underworld. And he's